everyone. Welcome to the Philippine Consulate. My name is Carlene Monastrial. I'm one of the consuls here in San Francisco. Today, we are going through Talakayan. This is one of our ongoing series on public information surveys. So we ask people from experts from different topics about that might be relevant to you or people that you know, your friends or your neighbors. Today we're talking about diabetes and the Filipino-American community. So I hope you listen and I hope that you will learn something from it and also inform people close to you about the event. I'll just briefly tell you about the program. We'll be welcomed by Consul General Henry S. Bensuito Jr. And then we have 3 speakers who will talk about the topic at hand. And then please also expect that this will be posted on YouTube so you can share your... So this will only take about half an hour to 45 minutes. I enjoin everyone to please listen. And now we'll go to the Talakayan proper. Please welcome Consul General Henry S. Bensuito Jr.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Good morning. I just want to explain, well, first I'd like to welcome you to the Philippine Consulate General. I know you're here for a different purpose, which is the consular services. But at the same time, you want to make your waiting time for those who are waiting here very productive. Productive in the sense that instead of just being there, perhaps you can use the time to give you information, practical information that may have use for you, maybe not today, but perhaps in the future. And it's up for you. This is not being imposed, but it is something that we're giving out. And if you think it is useful for you, then good. If not, perhaps in the future it may have. And we call this forum Talakayan. Talakayan because it's an exchange of ideas. We're trying to give you information that has practical value. So, in fact, for the last 5 months, we already conducted 4 or 5 talakayan, ranging from the issue of overseas voting for overseas Filipinos, as well as the parole visa for those who are relatives of veterans. So for today, for this talakayan, we have a very practical issue which deals with the issue of diabetes. And usually when you are above 30, I'm not a doctor, but I do have that issue and I've met with my doctor. The sense is that at a certain age, whether you like it or not, you will have that problem. Why? Because your metabolism change as you age. And so in a sense, maybe it's good to know what exactly are the signs, the warning signs, the things that you could do to prevent. Sabi nga nila, the best way to medicate an illness is prevention. And you know, Filipinos in a way, because we have a very distinct, unique, we are a distinct demographic here in the United States. And because of our unique characteristic as a Filipino, there are certain unique features perhaps that you can somehow identify as a Filipino, which makes us either as being prone or not prone to diabetes. And sometimes we don't know we have that because we don't go to the doctor, and I'm very guilty about that. So I guess today's forum will have that practical value. Make use of it, actually. But at the same time, whatever is your business in terms of the consular services that you came here, don't let this interfere. We're simply making this as a valuable information that we're opening up to you, for you to take it also. So on behalf of the Philippine Consulate General and our staff, we would like to welcome you and our speakers. And we're very grateful to Rudy, to Rodel, our Esther, and Dr. Bender. We're very grateful for the time that they have allotted for us, by the way, to share these ideas with you. So thank you very much, and welcome to the consulate again.
Thank you, Conjen. Let me take this opportunity to introduce to you our panel of distinguished guests. Mr. Rudy Asercion, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the National Federation of Filipino American Associations, Region 3. And then we have Ms. Esther Aure, Health and Wellness Director of NaFFAA. We have Dr. Melinda Bender, who is an assistant professor at UCSF School of Nursing. And we'd like to also acknowledge Attorney Rodel Rodis, who is in the house today. Mr. Asercion will begin the talakayan.
Okay. Magandang umaga po. Good morning to everybody. I'm very excited because how many of you are not from San Francisco? Raise your hands. So a lot of you are from outside the area also, and that's what we're trying to do. First of all, I want to thank the Consul General for inviting us to present this. Diabetes is one of the most malady that is impacting the Filipino American community. Do you know that we have the highest rate of diabetes, higher than the Latinos and higher than the blacks? And unless we're able to reverse that, our kids are going to have a shorter life than we have because of the diabetes. So it's a scourge and it's an epidemic that's creating a lot of problem in the community. But I'm happy to be here because San Francisco being a U.S. major city, we're now starting to have a conversation about this malady that's creating a lot of problem in the Filipino community. If you go to a Filipino-centered city or town, and if there's a health care facility there, what you will see is that 7 out of 10 amputees in that facility will be Filipinos because they have diabetes. So we need to pay attention and reverse this, because one of the things that we like about diabetes, number one, is that it is reversible and you can prevent it. It's preventable. So those are the two key issues that I'd like to present. And I'm happy that we're starting this thing at the Philippine Consulate and in the presence of Consul General Henry Vinsurto, because he is going to be very, very vital in getting the information out from all over. Because as you know, what happened in San Francisco gets disseminated all over the United States, because we're a media center and a media magnet city. Whatever happens here, whatever gets started here goes out nationally. And so just to give you a brief explanation of who we are, what we're doing, and how you can help. We're a national federation of Filipino American Associations. We are the largest, and we have 13 different chapters all over the United States, so that we can readily disseminate information that we learn from here to the other regions all over the United States. So we can make an impact if we're able to get our message straight. With that, I would like to ask our Esther Aure, who is the Director of Health and Wellness for NaFFAA, and she will talk to you in Tagalog. Unfortunately, if I talk to you in Tagalog, you're probably going to laugh at me, and I'll be embarrassed in front of the Consul General. But Esther will talk to you in Tagalog, so that please put your hands together and let's welcome Esther.
Maraming salamat, magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Ako ang inyong teacher sa umagang ito. Okay? Ang background ko ho, talagang teacher ho ako. Hindi teacher-teacheran lang. Kaya dapat makikinig kayo sa akin. At wala naman hong baksakan to. Pero pamihadong may matututuhan kayo. Okay? Itong klase natin, hindi high school, hindi college, kundi kindergarten. Lahat kayo kindergarten, ang papag-aralan natin ay abakada. Okay, sa ating Tagalog na abakada, 20 lamang ang letra. Okay, pero ngayon, dinagdagan na yon. Noon, pero yun ang foundation eh. Abakada gaha ilama nanga o para sa tauwaya. 20. Pero sa umagang ito, 4 na letra lang ang pag-aaralan natin. Apat lang. Ang papag-aralan natin ay ka, ma, pa, at ha. Yung 16, hindi natin yung papag-aralan dahil tayo kindergarten. Pero importante ito. Okay. Uunahin natin yung ka dahil itong talakayan natin, which is discussion, ang papag-usapan natin is 3 ka. Okay? Unang-una, yung unang ka is kalusugan, health. Pangalawa is kayamanan, wealth. At ang pangatlong ka is kahabaan ng buhay. Interesado ba kayo? Humaba ang buhay natin? Okay. Yung ating kalusugan ay yun talaga ang ating kayamanan. Sa English yun, your health is your wealth. Okay? Kaya yun ay importante na lesson natin. Okay. Yung ating pag-uusapan na ngayon ng kalusugan ay susunod nating pag-uusapan ay yung letrang M. Ito 5. Itong K, 3 lang. Ito 5. Okay? Sorry ho. Yung 5 M, yung first M is matamis. Yung pangalawang M is maalat. Yung pangatlong M is mataba. Alam niyo yan, di ba? Yung 3 M na yon ay masasarap. Okay? Hindi ko sinasabi na huwag niyong kakainin dahil yun ang lasa ng ating pagkain. Masarap. Di ba? Okay? Kaya lamang iingatan nyo konti-konti lang. Hindi ko sinabing huwag kayong kakain ng matamis, ng maalat at mataba. Dahil masarap yun eh. Dahil kung hindi nyo babalansihin yon, yung pang-4 na M lalabas at yung pang-5. Ano yung pang-4? Madali kayong mamamatay. Okay? Tandaan nyo yun. Simple lang tong lesson natin, pero matatandaan nyo. Okay? Pag sinabi kong 5 M, alam nyo, ibig kong sabihin, correct? Okay. So, pupunta tayo sa letter P. Okay. Yung letter P natin ay 3. 3 lang to. Okay. Dahil kung ang pag-uusapan natin ay yung katayuan nating mga tao, 3 klase lang tayo tungkol sa kalusugan. Ano ang unang klase ng P?
Babasahin ko lang.
Yung ating klaseng tao is 3 lang. Yung wala pang sakit, yung malapit ng magkasakit, at yung pangatlo ay meron ng sakit. 3 lang klase. Okay. Itaas nyo, yung palagay nyo, wala pa kayong sakit. Taas ang kamay. Very good, palakpakan. Yung palagay nyo, sabi ng doktor ni Pre, malapit na kayong magkasakit. Taas din ang kamay nyo. Okay? Okay, now, yung pangatlo, yung may sakit na. Okay? Lahat ng klase meron tayo dito, kaya importante. Dahil marami kayong matututuhan, kung wala pa kayong sakit, meron kayong sakit, at malapit na kayong magkasakit. Okay? Dahil yung sa 3 klase na yon, letter P, ang tatandaan nyo, yung wala pang sakit, kung ano yung ginagawa nyo, i-continue yun, dahil yon ang pag-iwas sa sakit. Prevention sa Ingles. Okay? Okay, yung malapit na, dahil galing kayo sa doktor, sabi ng doktor, naku, something na kayo. Kung may diabetic, pre-diabetic na kayo, ganito, malapit na. Yung P na yun ang pagpigil, intervention. Ipigilin nyo yan, kung sino man yung dadating. You intervene. Okay? At yung pangatlo, may sakit na kayo pag-aalaga sa sakit nyo. Okay? Kaya yung pag-iwas, pagpigil, pagpaalaga. pag-aalaga, 3 P. Okay, meron tayong eksperto na si Dr. Bender ang magsasabi sa inyo kung anong gagawin nyo. Okay, tapos na tayo sa P. Okay, ito, importante ito dahil ang kalusugan natin ay nangyayari sa 4 na ginagawa nyo araw-araw. Una yung pagkain, pangalawa yung pag-inom, pang-3 yung pag-e-exercise nyo, pag-e-exercise, pang-4 na P, pag-iisip. Puro kayo nag-iisip ng problema. Okay, kung hindi nyo masolve yung problema, kalimutan nyo. Huwag nyo i-worry ng i-worry yun. Okay? Wala naman kayong magagawa eh. Diba? O, 4 yung tatandaan nyo. 4 na P. Okay. Yung pagkain, okay, yun ang importante. At pag-inom ng tubig, pag-e-exercise, at yung pag-iisip. Importante yung lahat. 4 na P. Pero ang pagkain, gusto ko na ipaalaala sa inyo yung 2 letter H. Matapos ito, tapos na ako. Okay. Bago kayo kumain, dahil nakatibayo sa Amerika, madidinig na lahat kayo busy. Ewan ko kung anong ginagawa nyo, pero kayo busy. Okay? Huwag kayong maniniwala sa busy, dahil ang Diyos, abang fair yan. Lahat tayo may 24 oras. Baka, konsul, ilang oras ba binigay sa inyo ng Diyos? 30, ano, dahil busy kayo. Okay, pero 24 hours. Kahit si Presidente Obama, kung sino mang mayaman o mahirap, fair, 24 hours. Yun ang ibig sabihin doon. Pare-pareho, kailangan lamang yung alam nyo kung paano i-manage ang inyong tiyempo. Kaya huwag nyo sasabihin sa akin, busy ako, busy ako. Kung kayo'y mag-go-grocery, kailangan magbabasa kayo kung ano yung binibili nyo. Huwag yung kuha lang kayo ng kuha dahil busy kayo. Hindi nyo binabasa. Importante yon. Dahil yung binibili nyo, yun ang sinusubo nyo, yung kinakain nyo. Pero hindi nyo naman alam, abay, laso na pala yung kinakain nyo eh. Kaya ganyan na nangyayari sa inyo, nagkakasakit. Merong 2 letter H na iingatan nyo. Yung isang H, yun ang high fructose corn syrup or high fructose syrup, whatever. Okay? Yung pangalawang H, yung word na sa Ingles na hydrogenated. Okay? Yung high fructose, hydrogenated, hindi gawa ng Diyos yun, gawa sa laboratorio. Okay? Kaya hindi kayong tunawin ng sarili nyo dahil pag uminom kayo, nung may high fructose corn syrup, sasabihin ka agad ng stomach nyo, yung kidney nyo, hey boss, hey manager, yung utak nyo yung manager eh. Itong boss ko, pinainom na naman ako dito, may high fructose corn syrup, ano bang gagawin ko dito? Sabi noong brain, hindi ko alam, di naman ginawa ng Diyos yun eh. Kaya, busy din ako eh. Sabi noong kidney, anong gagawin ko dito? Ilagay mo muna sa isang tabi. Yun ang nagiging taba. Dito, nilalagay sa iyong tiyan. Dito. Nandiyan ang taba kasi hindi niya tinutunaw eh. Okay? Ito, ang dapat niyong babasahin. Pag kayo nag-grocery, babasahin niyo yan, merong produkto na nakalagay, no high fructose corn syrup. Okay? Kung hindi nyo alam yon, ngayon malalaman nyo sa klase na ito. Okay. Hindi porke Heinz ang pinakita ko sa inyo. Lahat ng Heinz, walang high fructose corn syrup. Hindi, mali. Okay. Dahil ito, parehong company, pag hindi nyo binasa, ito may high fructose corn syrup. Okay? Ito wala. Nakalagay pa dyan. Okay? Pero dahil walang nagsabi sa inyo, dahil masama, kakainin nyo. Okay? Magbabasa kayo. Ngayon, doon naman sa inumin, Hindi ko sinabing bumili kayo ng bottled water. Okay? Pag bumili kayo ng produkto, basahin niyo yung ingredients. Kung tubig ang binibili nyo, dapat ang nakalagay lang ingredient, water. Pag may iba pang sinama doon, huwag nyo kuhanin. Klaro? Okay. Doon naman sa hydrogenated oil, babasahin nyo to. Ito, double whammy itong cookies na to. May high fructose corn syrup na, may hydrogenated oil. Okay. Yung nakalagay doon na corn, yun ay natural na ginawa ng Diyos mahusay sa katawan natin. Ang problema, doon sa high fructose corn syrup, yung corn, meron doon tinatawag na molecule eh. Yung kumbaga yung sangkap noong corn, pinaghiwalay ng laboratorio. Yung fructose, dahil matamis na matamis yun lang ang kinuha, yun ang pinapakain sa atin. Hindi alam, ang alam natin, kaya yung glucose at fructose, magkasama yon para pag kinain natin, hindi ka agad diretso sa liver. Nung pinaghiwalay, nung kinain natin yung fructose, diretso agad sa liver, kaya nagkakaroon sinasabi fatty liver. Yun ang diferensya doon, okay? So yung 4 na letra na yan, ay dapat natutuhan nyo ba?
Yes.
Okay,
You,
good.
Miss Esther. I hope you were able to learn something from that. Now we'll bring on our assistant professor, Dr. Bender, to give us the nitty-gritty about what we should be watching out for in our health.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about two important topics that affect Filipino Americans. We have a health disparity here in the United States and also diabetes prevention. So what do we know about diabetes? Well, first of all, we have about 29 million people in the United States with diabetes. Is that going? Which is about, what, 9% of our population. And 1 in 4 people are undiagnosed. That means 25% of these people don't even know that they have diabetes. Also, 1 in 3 people in the United States have prediabetes. Prediabetes means that you're at high risk for developing diabetes, but you don't have it yet. So 1 in 3 people have it, but only 9 out of 10 people, 90% of the people don't even know that they're pre-diabetic. But unfortunately, they'll develop diabetes. They're highly likely to develop type 2 diabetes in the next 5 years. It's costing our government $245 billion here in the United States annually for medical costs, lost work, and wages. And people with diabetes have a 50% higher chance of premature death than people who don't have diabetes. And it's predicted that by 2050, 1 in 3, a third of our population will have type 2 diabetes. So what do we know about Filipinos? Well, in 2014, we did a study in Northern California of close to 2 million people who are members of Kaiser. Of these 2 million, close to 82,000 were Filipinos. And of the 82,000, 16% of these people, Filipinos, had type 2 diabetes, which is twice as high as the U.S. general population, which I said was 9%. We really have a high diabetes rate here in the United States for Filipinos. So what do we know? I want you to know that there's 2 types of diabetes. There's type 2 and type 1. Type 2 diabetes is the more common one. There's 90 to 95% of the diabetes is type 2. It's late onset. It usually occurs when you're an adult. However, we're seeing it earlier and earlier in Filipino children because of overweight and obesity problems here in the United States. You're treated with oral medication, not insulin, and it's preventable. You can prevent it by weight loss, being more physically active, and eating healthy foods. Type 1 diabetes is the least common. It only affects 5% of the people. This is early onset, usually diagnosed when you're a child. It's insulin dependent because your pancreas cannot make enough insulin to digest the glucose or sugar in your body, and it's not preventable. It's based on genetics, but genetics isn't everything. It's about 50% of the reason why we develop diabetes. Next. This is a map of the United States of the last 12 years from 2000 to 2012 of the prevalence of diabetes per state. If you look at the upper left-hand corner, you see California there. It was light green. That means that we only had 6 to 7% of our population in California with diabetes. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner of the United States, California is dark green now, and in 12 years we increased our rate of diabetes from 9 to 15% of the population with diabetes. Next. So what do we know about Filipino health disparities? Filipinos in the United States have several health disparities. We're the second largest Asian American subgroup in the United States. 3.4 million of us are here in the United States, and the largest concentration is here in California at 1.4 million. And we have a huge concentration here in the San Francisco Bay Area. So we did a study in 2014 that we published about the California Health Interview Survey of 245,000 people here in California, a representative sample of our population, and we looked at the Asian Americans. Filipinos came out as the #1 prevalence for type 2 diabetes and overweight and obesity. The other thing that we came up as #1 among all Asian American populations and non-Hispanic whites was that we have very low physical activity rates. We're very sedentary. That means we don't like to get out and move. We sit a lot, especially in front of the television. And we had the #1 rate among all Asian American subgroups and also non-Hispanic whites for soda intake. A lot of this is due to our exposure to Western ways of eating, especially in the Philippines because of our colonization. We came out second in the highest prevalence for hypertension or high blood pressure, second only to the Koreans. Next. So what do we know about diabetes prevention? We do know that type 2 diabetes is related to overweight and obesity. It's mainly due to our lifestyle. We don't like to walk or be physically active, and we eat very high-fat foods. It can be prevented or delayed and even reversed by just losing weight, and you only have to lose 5% of your weight. So if you're 150 pounds, what is that, 7 pounds? That's all you have to lose, and your glucose level will go down immediately. And we can do this by being physically active and eating healthy diets. So we do know that being physically active and a healthy lifestyle is very difficult. So what do we do know about lifestyle behaviors? We do know that people who monitor and track their weight and how much they're eating and if they're being physically active are more likely to lose weight than those who don't monitor and track. We also know that those with social support from families and friends for healthy lifestyles are more likely to adhere to being more physically active and eating healthy and losing weight than those who don't have social support. We also know that those who are in intervention programs that are culturally tailored for the target population are more likely to adhere to really healthy diets and physical activity than those that aren't in a program that's culturally tailored for that population. So what do we know about Filipinos? We know that we value family and community and that our identity is based on our family and community. We also know that Filipinos are prolific users. We did a study and found that Filipinos like to use smartphones, computers, the internet, and we were found in 2014 to be the #1 Facebook users in the world, according to Zuckerberg studies. We also know that our homeland diet has been very healthy. It's primarily based on vegetables and fish, not really on fast foods and soda. Go ahead. So that means that we need to really identify ways to reduce our risks for chronic disease. However, we found that there is a major research gap for Filipinos. We found that the goal is to reduce chronic disease risks in Filipinos, but we also are very underrepresented in preventive health research in the United States. We have limited studies that are focused specifically on Filipinos. There's a lot of studies for Asian Americans, but we're all grouped together. But we're all very different. For instance, Chinese have a very low rate of obesity and overweight. They're very physically active as an Asian American subgroup, and they have lower rates of diabetes compared to Filipinos. So they group us all together, and people think that we're fine, but we really aren't. We need to focus on reducing Filipino health disparities. We really need to be a healthier population. We need more Filipino researchers. I'm one of the few Filipino researchers doing research to improve health outcomes for Filipinos. So we need more people going on to learning how to do research. We also need more effective interventions strategies. We need to identify these. And so I got funded by the American Heart Association to do a research intervention to improve health disparities for Filipinos, and it was called the Filipino Americans Go for Health. This study, this study's objective was to assess this intervention to see if it's a culturally adapted mobile phone-based lifestyle or weight loss lifestyle intervention to reduce heart disease in Filipinos with type 2 diabetes. And the aim was to see if it was feasible. That means, would Filipinos get involved with an intervention to improve healthy lifestyles? And also we wanted to obtain information to see if it would be effective in reducing health disparities by seeing if this intervention would change weight and percent weight in people. Whether or not it would reduce the weight circumference, the fasting blood sugar, and hemoglobin A1C, which are markers for diabetes, and whether or not we could increase the step counts to improve physical activity in Filipinos. And finally, we wanted to ask the participants who participated in this intervention whether or not it was acceptable, what were the barriers that they encountered while they were in this intervention, and what they suggested would be ways to improve this intervention for Filipinos. This study was a 3-month pilot randomized controlled trial. That means we had an intervention group or a control group that went on to just live the normal lifestyle. We wanted to compare the groups to see if the intervention was better. It was 3 months, and after the 3 months, the intervention group went on to a maintenance, and the control group, after 3 months, got the intervention themselves. So we had 45 people in this intervention, overweight Filipinos with type 2 diabetes, not on insulin. They had to be 18 years or older. Men and women who had type 2 diabetes, not on insulin, able to walk 20 minutes at one time, had a smartphone, tablet, or computer, because we downloaded a health app onto those smartphones, and they had to have access to the internet. We excluded people who did not have control of their type 2 diabetes, were physically or mentally disabled, or had some sort of metabolic disease that prevented weight loss. We also had, keep going. The intervention was culturally adapted. We asked the community, the Filipino community, to help us, community leaders, the members, and providers, to help us design the study for Filipinos. They told us that we needed an active waitlist control. That means that the active people who were randomized to the control group wouldn't participate unless they also received the intervention. And we needed to include the families, so families were welcome to participate. We also used questionnaires that had simple questions, easy to understand, and were short. We also had recruitment. They said that word of mouth was the best way to recruit Filipinos, so we went to cultural events. We went to organizational meetings. We met with the community leaders to help us get the word out, and we also recruited through Facebook, and we also recruited through online newspapers, Filipino newspapers. I have a backup here. So we also included digital technology. We used Fitbit mobile pedometer. They wore this pedometer 10 hours a day, every day for 3 months, and it wirelessly uploaded the step counts onto a database that we could see the step counts and the participants could see the step counts. We also used a mobile app that had a diary where the participants could enter in their calories, their weight every week, and they could also see a graph of how their progress was going with the step counts. We also provided education and information through the smartphone, tablet, and the computer via email, text, and the Facebook group. And then we also had a private Facebook group where only the intervention participants were invited to participate. We provided social support through in-person office visits and the private Facebook group. Families were welcome to participate in the in-office visits. We provided individual tailored goals. So that meant that these were achievable goals for each individual for their weight, their calories, and also their step counts for physical activity. Then for the private Facebook group, we provided virtual social networking. We provided weekly messages regarding diet, physical activity, and encouragement for weight loss. And they could post their photos, recipes, and also their progress, and they had a chat room to talk to one another about any problems they might be having, and also to encourage one another to continue their healthy diet and their physical activity. Keep going. I just need to keep going. Yeah, just go through the next 3 slides. So there's the Fitbit pedometer that we used. Keep going to the next slide. The next slide. We had a virtual and in-person meetings. And the active control. The active control group for the first 3 months only had the Fitbit pedometer. They didn't get the Facebook, they didn't get the app diary or anything. Then the next thing they did was after 3 months they got the intervention, and then they had the in-person meetings, and they had the Facebook group, and then everyone completed the study or the intervention after 6 months. Next. So what were the outcomes? We measured the outcomes between baseline and 3 months. The primary outcome was weight loss. This is a weight loss program. Secondary outcome was waist circumference. We wanted to see if the waist went down, if the fasting blood sugar and the hemoglobin A1C that are markers for diabetes went down, and whether their physical activity step counts went up, whether the fat intake and sugar-sweetened beverage intake went down. The words in red are the preliminary results I'm going to give you. We did have 45 people in the study. 22 were in the intervention, 23 were in the control group, and I'm happy to say that everyone, 100% completed the program, 100% stayed in the program. You have to understand this is rare. People, about 30% of people in intervention studies usually drop out. All the Filipinos stayed in the study. They were an older population, about 58 years old was the mean age. Dan, keep going. There was primarily women, about 67, close to 70% women. The mean body mass index, it's the measure of fatness in the body, they were 30. The mean body mass index was 30. That means the majority of the people were highly overweight or obese. Primarily they were married. We had a very educated group, close to 75% had college education, and almost 82%, or close to 82%, were immigrants from the Philippines, and they had lived in the United States 10 years or more. And only a third of them ever used a pedometer before. And that means that they were able to learn to use this because it was simple. We made it very simple. So what were the results by 3 months? There was a significantly greater improvement in the intervention group compared to the control. For weight, the intervention group lost close to 2 kilograms more than the control. The weights and also close to 3% more weight than the control. They lost close to 3 centimeters more than the control. Their fasting blood glucose went down 18.5 milligrams per deciliter compared to the control. However, there was no real difference in the hemoglobin A1C, which is a poor measure for diabetes for Filipinos. Dr. Araneta from UC San Diego, who is a Filipina, found that this is not a good test for us. The step counts went up close to 2,600 steps more than the control. So it shows, what does this mean? First of all, this intervention was feasible. Filipinos did get involved. They stayed in the program, and it was effective for reducing heart disease in Filipinos with type 2 diabetes. Also, we were able to engage and retain the participants 100%. They lost weight. They lost waist circumference. Their fasting blood glucose went down, and their physical activity went up. Next. So what does this mean? This means that this weight loss intervention and promoting physical activity and healthy eating was effective in reducing heart disease among Filipinos with type 2 diabetes. It lends support for a larger randomized controlled trial to test this intervention in a larger group of Filipinos. So I recently submitted another grant, a huge grant, through the National Institute of Health that's funded by our taxpayers' money to test this intervention in a larger group in the Bay Area, in the Vallejo area, and here in the San Mateo County area. It also this intervention provides a template that could be culturally adapted and also translated for other at-risk populations, diverse populations with similar problems. You have to understand that type 2 diabetes also comes along with hypertension, high blood pressure. They go hand in hand. So once you have type 2 diabetes, you're at very high risk for heart disease, and that's the reason why this intervention was to reduce heart disease in Filipinos with type 2 diabetes. I want to thank my research staff, whose help and work was very integral in the success of this study, and also for the participants who participated in this study, all the organizations, the leaders, and the people who helped us recruit, particularly Esther Aura Navarra, who was instrumental in the success of this program. Thank you very much.